Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and thank you so much, Sarah, for taking your time in the middle of the night in in Tokyo. I think it's midnight already, is it?
It's 11 p.m. Yeah, I see it.
Okay, 11. Okay.
Yay.
Yay! Yeah, you can see us. Great. And so I'm Mike from the AI Art Magazine, and we are here because we have had our second open call, and Sarah was part of the jury um, yeah to curate the magazine out of the all these amazing submissions that we received. So I see some artists also watching. Thank you so much for submitting your work. And we have this concept of the golden ticket. So every jury member is selecting one piece of art that he or she really likes and thinks is something special. And Sarah selected a work from Daniel Weiss, who is not here today. And we're going to talk about it in the next minutes. So, but maybe you
Awesome.
can quickly introduce you for the ones that haven't watched us last time.
For sure, yeah. Hello everybody. I am also watching on my iPhone right beside me. I just commented. So if you look at that username, that's me. But my name is Sarah Justo. I'm living in Japan. Was born in Japan, but I grew up outside for a little bit. I work in the industry of creative and tech. I do several things, but my main thing is I'm a producer for virtual humans. Notably, there's a virtual human girl in Japan called IMMA. She recently emceed for the Osaka Expo, International Expo, as well as she was like a global ambassador for Coach last year with Leonas X. So all that fun stuff, kind of like merging culture with whatever is coming up. I also work um, as a contract with OpenAI's Sora team as well. So I'm very much into the AI, how artists use AI, how can we build a community around it? Because I inherently believe it's a tool that will help us more than it will, as many people think, destroy us. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think this is we are super happy to have you on the jury because it's super interesting to hear your perspective. You're an artist yourself, if I remember correctly. You told us last time.
Yes, I was. Well, I do think definitely, even though I basically don't make a living off of me being an artist.
Mhm.
But my mind is fully artist. I went to art university as a fine art major. I still draw and paint. That was kind of most of my life, just drawing and painting and expressing myself. So I'm definitely from that field, and I love artists, no matter what they use.
Yeah, now deeply in technology and AI, and so I think it's a very nice combination, isn't it?
It really is. It helps me when you have ADHD. You just can't stay in one thing. So yeah.
So should we have a look at the work you selected? Let me try
Yeah.
to share it.
Oh,
Yeah, here it is.
whoa. Technology. Amazing. Yes. I looked
Yeah.
through hundreds of pieces of work and I was like, this is the one I'm going to choose.
So, what was the reason for you to choose it?
I mean, even with this contest and even with like, working with OpenAI and Sora, I look at hundreds of AI images every day, and this stood out because I literally it's very curated and styled, and it's so detailed. And basically, in a sentence, you can't get this from just prompting one thing, you know, and kind of like randomizing it and coming up with it. Because, it's I know how prompting works, and I was like, this is not done in just 5 minutes. And many of the, even when I use Sora or when I use a lot of like generative AI tools, when you prompt something, like for example, cat in a forest, it actually comes up pretty good. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a it doesn't look like a bad picture, you know? And so in the submissions and many of the AI images I see every day, I see a lot of the generic images where it's like it's not bad, but you probably prompted very simply or you didn't really have much direction. But for this one, I knew I could never get this no matter how hard I even prompted. So I was like, how did he get this? What was, because there's so much direction behind it, the pose, the outfit, the bonbons around it, the patterns in the background. I was like, there's so much thought and story that's going on here. It's not random. So yeah, that was the main reason.
Yeah, and I think this is like is a super interesting topic because it touches the big topic of authorship also. Like when you like there are a lot of images out there that are generations, and I think there's a good reason for that, but probably not what you would consider in the context of art. And then there are things that are very thoughtful, directed, and I think this is a very good example of one of those pieces, right?
Definitely. I think it's very hard for the mass to see the difference. I think. I mean, same as art, it's very unless you're in that field, it's very hard to see those minuscule details, but it's those minuscule details that really have originality and story. And yeah, I really found it in this piece. It really felt like something from a fashion tutorial. And I kind of like when I looked at it, this, a fashion editorials can maybe use AI because so far I was like the images that AI produces, it's not as high quality and directed and just unique as what I see when I open a magazine. But I was like, I can totally see it, which was just really high quality.
Yeah, I think this is also something that Daniel was saying that is super important to him when he um, makes his art. That he really wants to spend a lot of time and make and tells a story and also like transport feelings. So I think there's something
Mm.
that you really feel when you look at it.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. It really promised to me that AI is in a way just a tool. I know AI is a very broad term, so I'm only kind of using it for like the creative and visual effects of it. But I was like, Daniel really knew what he wanted, and he probably tried, like, I don't know, a couple dozen times to get this image. And I think there's also a beauty in the AI having control as well, because I feel like if let's say Daniel literally had a camera and literally had this model, and he tried to shoot something, it probably something different would come out of it, right? But I think there is inspiration we can even take from AI works that it's like, oh, this detail or like this lighting I wouldn't have imagined. So yeah, definitely, like every piece that was executed, it's definitely Daniel's storytelling, but I feel like AI kind of gave it a little spark that maybe even Daniel didn't expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is also like what I thought is really a interesting story is the piece is called Kabuki, and
Mm.
that's a Japanese dance. And I think it's really interesting to have an artist from Germany um, taking this topic and then having a jury member from Japan picking it. So
Mhm.
can you can you tell us a bit about the Kabuki topic that is behind this image?
Definitely. I mean, kabuki is one of the art forms that has been in Japan for a very long. It's one of those arts that gets passed down through bloodline, which is in a way I think quite rare in the modern day. It's like your dad is something and you have to take on that art that he had generations above him pass on. Let's see how long this history is. Kabuki, how long has it been for? Let's see. Kabuki has a history of over 400 years. That means it's
Wow.
like, yeah, that's generations. So basically, there's so many things in Japan that is art that is just passed down. I don't know if it's true for kabuki, but there is another art which is called Noh,
Hmm.
that and I was learning. I went to like a No master, and I was learning like a little workshop to learn about it. He was telling me the art of no has been passed down for, okay, I think it's longer than no. How long has it been for? Okay, over 700 years recorded, right? So it may be even longer. So, and he was telling me the way to pass down no is only through person to person. So there's nothing written about how to do no. There's nothing that you can get. There's not even like like words to describe how to do it. You just have to hear it and mimic it. And it's been passed down like that for 700 years, right? And so, anyways, I'm going down a spiral. But anyways, there's so many things like that in Japan where it's like there's beauty in its longevity of it being passed down from a human life to human life, and kabuki is definitely one of them. And one of the characteristics of kabuki, for anyone that doesn't know anything about kabuki, it's like a theater. Very simply put, it's like a theater. You sit down, you watch kabuki, and the actors are very dramatic. Like I'm also not like a kabuki major, so I'm pretty sure there's like a person that can talk 3 hours about it. But if you can see it, like if you watch any kabuki YouTube video, it's very dramatic. They have like that famous like hair dancing. But I feel like this work portrays kabuki through its form, through the dramatic lighting, through the pose, through the expression as well. And I really love how this German artist was inspired by kabuki. I don't know, maybe he saw kabuki. Not sure. I'm always inspired by it. There's many things in Japan that are inspired by kabuki, like the famous anime Naruto. His poses, like this pose, or
Oh,
the
really?
paintings. Yeah, yeah, it's all from kabuki. The Toad Master. Oh my god, everyone's gonna know I was an anime nerd, but Naruto's master Jiraiya, who has the toad frog thing, the makeup he does is the red makeup that he does is fully from kabuki. So Naruto and many other animes take so much influence from these Japanese cultures, and that could be a new way of passing down this culture, right? So I think it's really cool that, of course, kabuki masters pass it down to kabuki masters, but also a German artist, AI artist, referencing kabuki and passing it down. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And I read this is about dramatic style and visual impact are things that are characterizing it, and I think that also is translated in this work very well. And I thought it was very interesting to have this kabuki style vibe applied to
Mm,
a fashion piece. So I think that's also something super interesting.
definitely. I wish there was more that could reference Japanese culture. Um, I know maybe it's just my opinion, but I feel like a lot of these like treasured Japanese crafts and culture that gets passed down, it's beautiful, but it's kind of hard to reference it because it's such a serious art. You can't really take it lightly. So a lot of Japanese artists, they reference it, but it's not. They don't say it's like a direct reference. Like for example, even in Naruto, I don't think it's very clear it's a kabuki reference, but they wouldn't be like, I referenced kabuki, or the kabuki
Mm.
master would be like, no, that's not how you do it. You know what I mean? So it's very Japan is kind of like that, where it's not very hard. It's very hard to remix this beautiful art just because it's so preserved. So I think a lot of Western, or even just like outside of Japan cultures that reference it, if they do it right, I love it because it's fun. At the end of the day, no one owns anything. We're all human. We can all express whatever we want, and as long as you are vigilant about learning about it and appreciating it for what it is, not just like looking at it for 5 minutes and just referencing it, I think there's yeah, I think we think we should take inspiration from everyone else. So super cool that he did that in AI, and kind of cool that AI kind of interpreted that, whatever prompts he were putting out. I'm not sure what it is, but AI obviously has its own take on kabuki, which could be different from if we literally manually did a photo shoot. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, this is super interesting. So I would be very curious, Sarah. You've been now in the second edition of the art magazine. Second time you did the jury work for the open call. So do you see a difference, like from last time to this time? Do you think
Mm,
works, like topics or technique or something
right.
like evolved or changed?
Definitely, definitely. I was looking through the hundreds of submissions, and I was so surprised that it was such a higher quality than last year's, which is a very happy turn of events, I feel like. I think in similar to any other art format, the more it gets, the trial and error, the more you see people try it in different ways, it evolves, right? So like similar to when camera came out, versus camera now, like it's been the same tool, but people really evolve and take inspiration and experiment with it. And I feel like that's what happened with AI. Is, last year's submissions, it was more like, in a way, simple. Like I would see a very realistic face photo shoot, for example, kind of like an editorial of a fashion model, for example. I'm like, oh my god, that's so cool. It looks super real. The makeup looks shiny, like it looks like a human made it. But now it's kind of more like, it can't just look real. It has to look very original and unique. And that's also, it has to do with trends. It has to do with, how people are experimenting. But I just think overall it's very high quality, and that's thanks to the community, for sharing their pieces and for artists to be influenced and inspired by other artists. So I'm so excited to see what next year is going to bring, and kind of cool to see it evolve as an art form rather than
Yeah.
just this like hypey thing that everyone talks about. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really have to say that we really had amazing works also in the last magazine. So
Of course, for
yeah,
sure, for sure.
so that people don't misunderstand. But I think it's like yeah, there are hundreds of submissions, and I think if you look at every submission, I think is interesting to see that um, last year we had what you said, like a lot of photorealistic submissions
Mm,
also. And yeah, I also had the feeling that this time there were a lot of submissions with deep stories behind to understand,
mm.
or installations, and we saw movies, right? So was it easy for you to pick, or was it hard again to make a selection?
I oh I'm the kind of person that sits down in a restaurant and pick the menu like 2 seconds into looking at the menu. So
Okay.
just instinctively, I know there's so many submissions. I Every time I looked at a menu, I was like, oh, is it better than the other one? But the one I chose really kind of, it made me have hope, more than the others. Like the other ones, I mean, they were very exceptional, but this one I was like, I can really see it in a fashion editorial, which I've never thought about in any AI images ever, because I always look like an AI image. And fashion editorials, there's so much originality to it, because I mean you have to create the whole thing from scratch, right? So it has to be original. But AI, no, like, depending on what kind of tools you use, it kind of, it looks like a Sora image, it looks like a, Mid Journey image. If you don't prompt it to your uniqueness, it turns to that style, right? Which kind of erases the originality from it. And this one, I really was just like, wow, like I can see it in the fashion editorial besides all the other original fashion editorials. So I don't know, it kind of won me over because it showed me a future which which I never really, I mean I knew it was coming, but it was like, wow, like I can really see this. So yeah, that was really cool.
So maybe I see a lot of artists who submitted works are also are also watching. Hello, everyone. Um, there's one thing I get asked quite a lot of time, and maybe you can explain from your perspective, like what is it you're looking for when you're doing your jury work? Like what is it what draws your interest, or what you're looking like what you're really
Mm.
looking for, maybe as a hint for the next magazine?
Ooh.
Ooh.
I mean, of mm, there's so many ways to look at it, but mm, I mean, being from art university and being in the art world for a little bit, and many of my friends are legit artists, like painting on canvases. It's I kind of see it from a very similar perspective, where first the quality. I mean, if you have a story to tell but it looks not good, very low quality, that's already off the chart. um and I think there's a taste level that has to go with that. That's why I think anyone can create AI images, but can you create good AI images? That's the same as, anyone can click a camera button, but it's are you going to be the next amazing photographer? Probably not, right? So there is that taste level with quality, and there is quality. Everyone says, like, creativity, there's no answer. There is no answer. There is no answer, but there is quality perceived by the eye. So that's definitely like a huge thing. Second one, just I think I keep saying originality. So I guess originality is pretty important. Does it stand out? Does it tell an original story? Does it not look like the other ones? Because if I see three images of a close up makeup editorial look, maybe I won't pick it because I'll be like, yeah, it's not original. So
Mm,
that's definitely another thing. I know many people care a lot about the backstory, how you got to that work, how you explain it. Yes, to a certain extent, but until you check box, for me at least, those two boxes were high quality and originality, I don't really care how much you explain your work in words, because in the end it's not words. Um I know there's works that are very culturally valued, and it's not just the quality, there's a cultural relevance to it. Like historical artifacts are like, it doesn't have to be high quality, as long as it's from 300 BC, it has meaning, right? But with AI, I really think there is a taste level that I would prefer to have. But yeah,
mm.
those two. And then if there's a very strong cultural relevance, I would also love that as well, just as this is a strawberry on top. It it makes it worthwhile for that artwork to exist in 2025. So yeah, I guess those three things.
Okay, thank you. So maybe if we have any questions from the community, that would be perfect time to drop them. And if not, in the meantime, I would like ask one last question from my side. So you're working, you said before, I think, with OpenAI in Asia, and
Yes.
so what trends do you see? Where do you think AI art is developing? Are there any new things we should be aware of that you can already
I
spot?
think it really relates back to what I said. I think people are using it more as a tool. Um, I know there is, even in my close artist circle, people were kind of, when the AI art tools first came out, like when Sora came out early this year, people were kind of stunned. They didn't know how to use it. So, but I feel like now people have more knowledge and know-hows and are very much used to AI,
Mm,
which gives so many new ways to use it. For example, you can even use it, in little parts in a legit movie or Instagram reel, or as a normal influencer trying to make carousel post. It's I use it now to even like make the smallest things in a pitch deck, right? So it's I think it's coming down from a bigger perspective of, oh my god, whoa, AI can create this, to wait, so how can we actually use it? And I feel like there's so many answers to it now. And I think I'm seeing a lot of artworks where, it's not focused on just it being AI art. I think very soon the category of AI art, it's gonna lose the surprise element of it, and it's gonna go right beside the categories of CG art, drawings, paintings, poems, whatever we were all accustomed to now, like
So you think it will be absorbed by digital art, or?
maybe digital art, maybe, I don't know if it's a category big enough, maybe AI art, but I think it's gonna be more. I think there's so many artworks out there now that people are not too surprised by it, which gives it the factor of being it. I don't want to use the word accepted because I know so many people don't accept AI art, but more, I guess, I don't know, widely known as a tool in a way. So yeah, I think there's gonna be more practical uses, not just these surprise hype elements behind AI. It's like, wait, I can literally use this in one cut in a movie, right? And not have the PRs being like, this movie is made with AI. I think it's literally just because there's no editorial now that's like, this image was made in Photoshop, but maybe maybe 30 years ago there literally was, right? Because when Photoshop came out, it was more radical than it was now. Like everyone just used Photoshop and not doesn't say it, right? So yeah, maybe I do hope that's gonna be that way, but yeah.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So we will see what kind of works we will receive next time in the next open call.
Amazing.
And thank you so
Excited.
much for your yeah, thank you so much for your time and for joining and for being on the jury. And yeah, see you soon.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.